And good morning. It's Friday morning, live at 9 with James Phillips here on WJLX. This morning's special guest we've got is Roger Hill, longtime known as Southern Wholesale Jewelers owner, I'm sure.
That's correct.
And just overall great guy, right? That's what everybody knows you as.
Well, I appreciate that, James.
Got Roger in this morning to talk about, he's got a new book. Or is this your first book that you've written?
It's the first book I've ever written, yeah. And it took me about 18 years to write it.
Well, you got a lot of stories from your time in Vietnam, and that's what the book's about. It's got a copy of it here. Mad Minutes Outside the Wire by C. Roger Hill. And Roger, where all can they pick it up at? I'm sure it's on Amazon.
Yeah, actually, we're having a book signing in the morning at the Jasper Library at 10 o'clock.
That's right.
Till 12. If you want to pick one up down there, they're a little less money because I get an author's discount.
Right.
But you can also listen to us talk about the book. We'll have 2 or 3 people talking about the book. But you can go to my website. And it's madminutesbook.com.
Okay.
And go to my website and pilfer down to the bottom and press the picture, and it'll pop up with 3 different ways to buy the book. You can buy it in a softback black and white, a softback color, and a hardback color. And also you can buy it as a Kindle for $4.99. So, but all of those prices are from Amazon. So you can go to Amazon and type in Mad Minutes Outside the Wire, and it'll pop up, and you can purchase it there. That's where most people are buying them now. We've sold a lot of books.
Now, when did you first get it out? When was it published?
Came out in December of last year.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we were talking about this yesterday. My son Brandon was principally the publisher of the book.
Right.
And I had open heart surgery on 12/28/25 last year, and I think he was just trying to get it out before I had that surgery.
Right, just in case, right?
Yeah. So anyway, thank the Lord, I got the book published, and my boys took care of ordering all the author editions and everything, and so we've been selling a lot of books, believe it or not. Not particularly me, but Amazon.
Right. Well, you look like you're doing great from the open heart surgery.
Hey man, I'm a new man.
They can turn people out pretty quick these days and get you feeling good.
I have to thank Dr. Steve Johnson. He found this for me, and they did a radium X-ray, and he came back in the room, and I could see it in Steve's face, and he said, "Have you got a cardiologist?"
Right.
And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you better find one."
You better get one quick.
Yeah, he's my buddy.
Now, the book, too, what I said yesterday, we've got a hard copy of it here. It looks incredible. Whoever designed it, and just the look of it, and the pages and all, just everything, it looks great. You get in your head, you think, oh, it's just going to be some book somebody's thrown together. But this looks like a major New York publisher put it out.
Actually, my son Brandon was responsible for that, and he kept telling me, saying, "Dad, this book's going to be expensive." He said, "All these color pictures."
Right.
And so at one time, I had 139 color pictures in the book, and we had to bring it back down to about 100.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's an educational book, really. If you don't know anything about the Vietnam War, you can learn a lot in that book. I told in the book how we got in the war, what caused it, and how we got out.
Right.
And that was in the first chapter or so of the book. And
when I love the maps and everything in it, it really it puts you there. You know.
Well, actually, to give you an idea of where I was, and I had to put those maps in there, and they're pretty comprehensive. So,
yeah, definitely.
Actually, I think anybody that has interest in military or the war need to read the book, especially Vietnam veterans.
Oh, definitely.
I was struggling with PTSD, and I didn't tell anybody because I wanted to be a tough guy.
Right.
And that for years, I didn't talk about the war. I didn't even talk to my wife about the war. And long story short, I went to the VA to try to find out how to handle this, and because it's an anxiety, a lot of residue left over.
Oh, yeah.
From the war. And you know, when I went in there, I was 21 years old.
Yeah, you'd never seen anything.
And well, I was naive. But anyway, thank the VA for telling me what I needed to do.
Right.
They said if I can't talk to somebody, I need to write it down. And so.
Now, is that where the idea to do a book came from, or?
Actually, no, I'd written some short stories, and it was mostly political stuff. I was involved with the Tea Party, and
Yeah.
I'd done a few things like that. But I started this thing because Dr. Scarborough here in Jasper lived here at that. He was in Florida at that time, right in the Gulf Shores. But his son asked me to do a one-on-one interview for a history class that he had at Birmingham Southern. And I told Jared, I said, I don't even talk about this to anybody, my wife, because it's so, it's nerving. Really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my stomach tightened up. And so he said, well, okay. He said, I still have to do it. And I said, well, I'll just do a Word doc and send it to you. You send me the questions, I'll answer them. And so when I got through doing the Word document, there was about 100 pages that I'd written, and it felt good that I got some of that out. And so he sent it to his dad. His dad called me and said, you need to write a book. And so that's how it all started.
Yeah.
And I got serious about writing it then. And it's taken me the last 15 years, really, to put this thing down, and I've changed it 4 times.
Right. But you finally got it to the point where you said, yeah, I can release it now.
Well, there was research involved, so much research. I actually got in touch with a lot of guys that I was in the military with over in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And one of my best men, a guy named Will Jerry from Rockford, Illinois, I was sending these books out once I got them published, and I sent one to Jerry, and his wife called me and said, Jerry passed away 18 days ago.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was a big part of my book.
Yeah.
He was my right-hand man when I was a point man.
Yeah.
But, it's worked out great for me. It really was a sore that needed to be lanced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it really helped me.
Well, it's like you said, it's a historical book, but also there's a lot of heart in there.
Well, I try to put you in there with me. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of people tell me that they felt like they were in the episodes with me. I call them episodes rather than chapters.
Right.
And the reason is each one of them's different. So I had, and there's something else. If you got this book and you need to go to, and on page 55, there's the last paragraph. I'll tell you what happened. I'd already written the book, and I was finished with it. And I got in touch with this Atlanta Businessman's Vietnam Veterans Foundation. And it was a documentary, about a 45-minute documentary, and it said exactly what I wanted to say. It was saying exactly what I was saying in the book and how we were treated when we came home. So I called them, and they said, well, send me a manuscript. So I did. And they called back and sent me a text authorizing me, legalizing me to use that in the book.
Right.
So if you're reading Mad Minutes Outside the Wire, watch that documentary.
And it says even here, there's a opening introduction by Sam Elliott. So people just love to listen to his voice.
Sam Elliott was sort of an MC on it. But you've probably seen things on TV, but this was not your
typical
history channel or this was done by the people in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it was called Myths and Truths About Vietnam War.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I've not seen that one.
But anyway, if you get an opportunity, you need to. I don't have the book handy to give you the website, but anyway, if you buy the book and reading it, you'll see that.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. I had it and lost where I put my finger at, but I'm gonna read that website out right quick. It is like Roger said, it's Truths and Myths About the Vietnam War, and you can go to www.avv, as in Victor, B as in boy, avvba.org. And it tells the real story that you may have not have seen or heard about the Vietnam War. And that'd be really interesting, especially if you're reading and to watch that along with it.
Well, it just goes in. It goes right through with this thing here. And one of the things, I get a lot of politics in it because the war was a political war.
Oh yeah, I mean, if any war's ever been political, it was Vietnam.
Well, it was a rich man's war and a poor man's fight. Is what
Right,
it was. And
right.
the men that I wrote the book really about the men I was with because they were the most hardcore, the toughest individuals I've ever been around in my life.
Yeah.
I was a squad leader when I got there. I was an E6 staff sergeant squad leader.
And you were drafted, right? It wasn't.
Yeah.
You didn't choose this.
No, I was drafted in 1967, and went in the Army in September '67, and I made E6 staff sergeant in 8 months after I'd been in the Army. But what I was telling you, part of the problem is we were running out of sergeants and lieutenants in the infantry.
Right.
And if you know anybody that's been to Vietnam, there's only at one time about 80,000 Army infantrymen available.
Yeah.
The rest of those 500,000 were supporting the infantry. And so I was in the 1st Infantry Division, well, the oldest division in the Army, and got sent to a place called Zion, just north of Saigon. And that's where I was introduced to Vietnam.
Yeah.
But
you were put right in the thick of it.
Well, I didn't know. I was so naive. I didn't realize that you could get killed doing that.
Right.
And it was. I started the book really when I got to Vietnam. You don't have a lot of this. A lot of books you read talks about back in the world.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But, no, we left there and Zion and went to a place called Quan Loy, up on the Cambodian border, and it was probably the nastiest place I'd ever been. And I was sort of astonished when I went we have a little GP medium tent, and they assigned us a place to stay. We were all new. There was only 16 men when I got there that were able to walk and go back to the field. So we had to have a brand new company really rebuild. They'd been in the Battle of Loc Ninh, 1 and 2, and the company was decimated. So we were all new guys, what they call cherries, new guys. And so I had gotten off of a caribou and went into the arms room, and they said, "Here's your bunk." And I went in there, and it looked like stars in the sky. And it was light coming through where all the rockets had gone off and the shrapnel had come through. And I looked at my bed, and it had shrapnel holes all in it, too.
Oh, my goodness.
So I decided I might better sleep on the ground.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you'd have been on that cot that night, you wouldn't have been sleeping very well.
Well, anyway, there's a lot of funny things in the book, and there's a lot of serious things in the book, you know. And I think I owed it to, especially the men that were wounded and killed, to enumerate on them.
Oh,
and
yeah, definitely.
Actually, I had a lieutenant. I was in November platoon, 1st in Delta Company, 1st Battalion, 2nd Infantry. I had a lieutenant named Dave Gardner. David, he'd gone through, University of Nebraska, and he's from Shaker Heights, Ohio. And Dave got killed in January 7th, 1969. And he had a twin sister and a brother. And nobody had ever really gotten in touch with those people. And when I was writing up the story, I was writing it up the way it happened. But anyway, long story, I got a hold of Steve and his sister, Gardner. And they said nobody had ever really called them and told them anything about it. And I said, well, I'm going to send you this portion, this chapter, and you tell me if it's all right to put it in my book.
Right.
So I sent it to them, and they sent me an email back authorizing me to use it, and said that's great because nobody had ever told them what happened to their brother.
See, and that's incredible.
Well, I mean, he was like, he was like our leader. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wrote the book about the guys I was with.
Yeah.
And it was it was from an enlisted man's standpoint too.
Right.
And if you're a Vietnam veteran, I think this would help you if
Yeah.
you could read this.
Well,
Because you'd see a lot of similarities
I imagine there's so many stories that didn't get told because of the loss of life and that sort of thing.
Well, if you find a Vietnam veteran that's been through what we went through in the First Division, even if you're a Marine or if you're Special Force, whatever, you're going to have some residue that came home with you. That,
oh yeah,
it doesn't help. I call it, all these memories are in the black box somewhere in the back of my brain.
yeah,
And if you're an Army infantry soldier, you automatically, not even thinking, you remember the good and forget the bad.
Right.
And you put it somewhere in the back of your mind and lock
yeah.
and lock that box. But there's things that bring it up, you know.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, and I'm sure even still today, you can be having a conversation, and somebody will say something, and it'll trigger a new memory or a different one that hadn't came out before.
well, thank goodness, thank the Lord that I was able to write this book. It helped me. It healed me, really, because I was suffering with it. I mean, I know some people that, this has been since 1969. They're
Yeah.
still suffering today.
Oh yeah,
And you know what's sort of unique? If you had anything to do with the war in Vietnam, you're 70 years old right now or older.
yeah,
And I'm 79, so I was 20. When I came out of Vietnam, I was about 22, I think.
yeah,
I came back to the University of Alabama, and I went from a tied down 45 and an M16 loaded to a peaceful campus
right.
where I was a rabid dog in their eyes
Yeah.
because I was Army infantry. You
Yeah.
know, so I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, yeah. Those were some hippie days right there. So.
Well, I mean, they hated the soldiers worse than they hated
Right.
the government.
And that's the thing I've never understood, why that happened in that time
Well,
period.
the reason was it was the media.
Right.
They had put us. And I know there were some things like My Lai and stuff like that went on, but
Right.
very rarely.
Right.
I mean, we didn't do anything like that.
Right.
But the media were the doctors of ruining the psyche of the people in the United States.
Yeah.
They hated us when we came home.
See, and I just
honestly,
don't understand that. And I don't see. I look at the guys that were over there, and you were 18 to 20 years old from Walker County, Alabama, and get put in the middle of this thing. You guys shouldn't have been blamed for anything.
you know what's so unique, what you're talking about being from Walker County. This sort of changes the subject. But on my way to Vietnam, I flew into Seattle, Washington from Birmingham. And I had a day to spend there, and I went into a service club, and I was sitting there, and a guy hits me on the back, slaps me on the back, says, "Are you lost?" And I look up, and it's my first cousin, Joe Hall.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was coming home from his second tour.
Yeah.
He had joined the Army. And
Yeah.
He's coming home. He was in the artillery division, but he had been sent with the Special Forces out to live with the Mountain Yard people up in Laos. I mean, that they were working the border.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe said, he said, "Are you?" And his brother Wayne was there too at Fort Lewis, and Wayne got shot up in Vietnam. But anyway, I said, "Yeah, I'm going to the war. Tell Daddy and Mama that you saw me."
Yeah.
And he got home and told me. So when I got there, I landed at Cam Bay, and then from there I went down to Ton Sanut in Saigon.
Yeah.
And guy walked up and hit me on the back and said, "What are you doing here? Are you lost?" And I said, I looked up, and it's Philip Treadway. Philip was in the 9th Infantry Division. I'd played a Little League baseball with him.
Yeah.
And on another occasion, we were in what we call the Battle of Long Binh. It was serious warfare. And we were out. It was pretty well everything settling down, and I'd stopped, and I sat out on a terrace row in a pasture out there and was getting a drink of water, and a guy walked up I'd gone to Walker College with. He said, "You lost?" He's from Cordova.
That shows you never, anywhere you go, you're going to bump into somebody from Walker County.
Well, it was an interesting day. I mean, he was in the MPs, and
Yeah.
they had brought them out there. We had been introduced into that battle as a sort of supplemental. The battle was really armored personnel carriers, armored tanks, and cobras. They call them snakes.
Right.
And we were just cleaning up, But
Yeah.
I heard a command I'd never heard before except in basic training. they pulled. We'd flown into Long Bend on two Chinooks and got off the Chinooks and got on Deuce and Halves and drove outside the wire and down a paved road. They pulled up and stopped outside the wire and said, "Everybody dismount." So we jump off the trucks, get on line, 15-meter intervals, and assault.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it came through my mind like Civil War, Pickett's Charge, maybe Revolutionary War or World War One over the top,
Right.
And that's what we had to do. We had to assault that ridge, and all we were doing was, marking wounded and prisoners and
Right.
demised.
Yeah. My grandfather, he was a medic in World War One, or World War Two, not World War One, World War Two in Germany, and that was basically his job, was to go through and determine, can they be saved, can they not be saved, and he never talked about it much. But
You know what was so unique about that day? This was in the back of the book, actually. We were successful in getting 4 prisoners, and they were really young kids, and that's what really shocked me was how old these guys were. I mean, they were running out of people in North Vietnam, and they were sending their children down there, and we had some interpreters that were giving these guys a hard time, and they asked them, they said, "Why did you people think you could take Long Bend? It's the biggest army base in Vietnam."
right.
And he said, "Well, our commanders had told us if we can take Long Bend, we can have all the sea rations that we want."
Oh, goodness gracious.
And the book, I said, "Well, we could have given them the sea rations and saved a lot of ammunition."
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I want to remind everybody, we got Roger Hill in studio this morning. He's got a new book out. It is, make sure I get the name right. It's Mad Minutes Outside the Wire, talking about his time in Vietnam. Roger's a well-known businessman here in the Jasper area, and he's going to be at the Jasper Public Library tomorrow. Is it 10 to 12?
10 to 12.
10 to 12. He'll be signing copies of the book and meeting and greeting, and going to be telling some of the stories.
And I've got some of the books, too.
And yeah, he'll be selling the books.
They're a little cheaper than buying them online, but not much.
Right.
But they're the author's editions, and so.
Right.
But I'll have a few down there for sale.
Okay. Well, and let's take a break real quick. When we come back, I want to hear some more of Roger's stories from the book. It's if you have any interest in wartime or Vietnam or just history in general, it's a great pickup because it really does. It teaches you the Vietnam War from somebody's perspective who was in there in those dogfights, and it is a great book. We'll be right back here on Live at 9 with James Phillips on WJLX.
we needed to expand and had the opportunity to acquire property adjoining to ours, I made one call to Wayne, and he set those wheels in motion. If you have banking needs, give Pinnacle a call.
Hello everyone, I'm Drake McKenzie from All South Land and Timber. We've been banking with Pinnacle Bank for over 25 years. The customer service at Pinnacle Bank is first class. We highly recommend banking with Pinnacle Bank for all of your financial needs.
I'm Robin Reed Allen, Chairman of the Board of Pinnacle Bank. Come see our team and make Pinnacle Bank your bank too.
Pinnacle Bank, member FDIC.
If you're craving great food in a place that feels just right, it's time to head to Jake's on 4th in downtown Jasper. From stacked made-to-order burgers to hearty favorites fresh off the grill, every dish at Jake's is cooked with care and full of flavor. It's comfortable, relaxed, and always welcoming. Whether you're meeting friends, enjoying a casual dinner, or just want a laid-back spot with great atmosphere, Jake's on 4th delivers every time. Located at 1810 4th Avenue South of downtown Jasper, Jake's is open Wednesday through Saturday with lunch from 11 to 3:30 and dinner 5 to close. Jake's has great food, an easygoing vibe, and it's a place you'll want to come back to. Jake's on 4th, fine dining done the Walker County way.
Hey, this is Nick Norris from The Game Managers. Every Friday afternoon at 6 on WJLX, Patrick Hanna and I break down the news of the week in sports. From local high school games to the biggest moments in college and the pros. No hot takes for clicks, just sports news, real analysis, and the conversations you actually want to hear. If you like sports as much as us, then make The Game Managers part of your Friday nights. We'll see you there.
The sound of Walker County on 101.5 is WDXB HD3 Pelham, W286BM Jasper, an iHeartRadio station. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to Live at 9 with James Phillips, presented by Young Jewelers on WJLX.
And we're back here on Live at 9 with James Phillips on WJLX. I got Roger Hill here this morning. Roger just released in December his book, Mad Minutes Outside the Wire. It's all about his time in Vietnam. And I did notice when I was kind of glancing through it that an old buddy of mine, Skip Tucker, played a role in editing it.
Yeah, Skip was instrumental in encouraging me to continue with the book. And he sort of edited, too, and he also was responsible for the foreword.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the foreword was his synopsis of the book.
Yeah.
And Skip is a published writer.
Right.
Pale Blue Light was one of his better books. It was a World War II fiction.
Yeah.
But this is an autobiography of just Vietnam, what it is.
Right.
My time there. But Skip was so instrumental in helping me, and he worked with me the last 2 or 3 years on this thing.
Yeah.
And,
I hate to say anything good about Skip.
Well, Skip and I were roommates. When I came home from Vietnam, I didn't have anywhere to live. I had 2 days to get registered for college, and somehow I got in touch with Skip and John Elliott, and I moved in with them.
Yeah.
And
well, and you mentioned a couple of my Skip is one of my newspaper mentors from back in the day, and another one was Mike Kilgore, and you said he took you to
Mike
Vietnam.
and I, when we first went to the University of Alabama, he and I were roommates too.
Yeah.
And Mike went ahead and graduated with a journalism degree, and just recently passed away in the last year or so. And he was a personal friend. I mean, a really long-term, lifelong friend.
Yeah. He helped me and both of them were good friends with my aunt and uncle Rick and Gilda Watson, and they helped me a lot from the time I got into the newspaper business all the way through. They always had critiques, or they would pat me on the back when something good was happening. So I those two guys, I appreciate them for sure.
Well, that was one thing that I worried about a lot, was being on the front page of the Daily Mountain Eagle. My mom sent that thing to me pretty regularly when I was over there, and I sent her home one day. I said, I just hope I don't end up on the front page of this paper.
You didn't want to
Maybe
be
in the
there.
6th page. It'll be okay when I get home.
Right. Well, Roger, tell us some more about the book. What are some of the things you think people will really want to see that aren't, maybe people who aren't into war and military?
If you're into politics, I went into what caused the war in Vietnam. Actually, what caused it was, let me back up. LBJ was our elected, or actually he was our president that had
Right, he came
president
in
as a
when-
result of John F. Kennedy getting killed.
Right.
Well, John F. Kennedy had been in World War II. He was in the Navy and he'd been wounded. He didn't want anything to do with Vietnam, other than military support.
Right.
He didn't want to be involved with feet on the ground. Well, now if you think about this, he was killed in November of
63.
1963.
Yeah.
By August of 1964, we were in a full-fledged war in Vietnam.
Right.
And then what that tells you is LBJ, or Lyndon B. Johnson, he's probably got the ball rolling on Air Force One the day to get the military machine back going. And in the book I said, well, he probably asked somebody to help him draft a letter to conscripted soldiers, you know.
Right, right.
But anyway, no, I go into a good bit of politics, but what started the war was in the Gulf of Tonkin, they had a ship called the Maddox, USS Maddox, and it was 28 miles off of North Vietnam. And a North Vietnamese torpedo boat fired torpedoes. It was an action event on August the 2nd, 1964.
Right.
And so, anyway, it was reported to Washington, D.C. Of the action event. And so they brought another destroyer in called the Turner Joy. And they brought it in, and they had an erroneous action event that they said that happened, but it didn't ever happen on the 2 days later on the 4th.
Right.
And so it was reported to Washington, D.C. as basically the same thing that happened on the 2nd. So based on that, the United States Congress passed the Tonkin Resolution giving President Johnson the right to go in, and they have what they call the domino theory, communism taking over all of Southeast Asia. Congress gave him the right to go in and squill this, get involved. Well, first thing he asked for was boots on the ground, and he thought by a bombing campaign it would get them to the peace tables.
Right.
But they were there for all the attrition. They were there for the duration.
Right.
And we didn't understand it that way. I mean, so that's why I went into a lot of politics, but it was what caused the war and how we got out. Well, we got out was Richard Nixon got elected in November of 1968. And by 1969, he took over in January 69, and he got elected by saying, hey, we're getting out of Vietnam. And sure enough, in 69, he started dropping the troops slowly.
Right.
And by 1973 or 4 or 5, there was nobody left in Vietnam. We bailed in 1975. And,
yeah. Now, you would have been a high schooler when the war started.
I read a book called Two Faces of Vietnam in 1963, I think. And it was what I was talking about. It was Ho Chi Minh, who was the head of the Communist Party in Vietnam and head of Vietnam. It was called French Indochina at that time, and so Ho Chi Minh and the entire country they were in war with for their independence with the French, and they had a place called Dien Bien Phu. They routed the French, and so long story short, they thought they were going to have their company as a communist country.
Right.
But they initiated Parallel 17, cut the country in half, and so half was communist, half was supported by the Americans.
Right. And
principally the Chinese and the Russians were supporting North Vietnam, and that was in 63, 64. But they had, when Eisenhower was in there, we were supporting them with military support.
Right.
But anyway.
Now, did you ever think as a high school kid that you would end up over there? Was that ever really a thought in your mind?
I'll tell you the honest truth. Let's go back. My daddy was in World War II.
Right.
He was with George Patton. They came through Europe and went all the way to Bastogne to relieve the 101st Airborne. They were surrounded, crossed the Rhine River and went into Germany, and So my daddy was a veteran. I had 4 uncles that were veterans of World War II. I had one great uncle that was a veteran of World War I and Army infantry.
Right.
Yeah, on the hillside. And then I had 4 cousins, 3 Army infantry and 2 in the Navy. No, 1 in the Navy. So, I sort of had the adventurous thing was sort of pulling me in,
Right.
And I'd played football and baseball at Walker High School and done well at it. And I had a high opinion of my athletic ability and what I could get.
Right.
What I could do.
You're probably like a lot of good athletes. You probably still have a high opinion of it and think you could still do it, but maybe we can't these days.
Well, I mean, if worst comes to worst, I could do it.
You can still strike somebody out.
No, I'm talking about toting a 16.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But no, I mean, honestly, I'm worried about the situation with our country right now. I think it's in good hands with Trump, but overall, I think we're in bad shape.
Yeah. I think we're so divided, and we can't let these little things divide us if we're going to be a great country.
I agree. I think we need to unify.
Yeah.
But I would invite anybody that has any inclination to learn more about Vietnam. You need to read this book. I mean, this is I think Christmas Vacation in here. I've got episodes, but Christmas Vacation in here has a lot of politics. But it's about a kapok tree, and we used the kapok tree. Of course, in LBJ's wisdom and McNamara, who McNamara was the head of Ford Motor Company. See, that was the problem. They didn't have any. Eisenhower and those guys were available, but they wouldn't use them.
Right.
And so LBJ and McNamara decided at Christmas 68 we needed to spend it in the boonies.
Yeah.
And so they have a 3-day stand down. Well, we were stuck out there, and we found a bamboo thicket, and we set up in it, and we had a tree out there. It was dead, and we kept all of our supplies around it. We called it a Christmas tree. It was it was an old kapok tree.
Yeah.
And anyway, we ended up getting them a body count the last day of the truce, which was the next day after the truce was over.
Right.
But anyway, it's in the book. You can read about it.
Well, it probably took time for the truce to even get to a lot of people too, I would think, on the other side.
No, they knew it.
Did they?
They do it every year.
Yeah.
They did it every year. They had a 3-day truce.
Oh, yeah, with the Christmas break.
Actually, what happened, I had an LP, a guy named Tony Lopez and a guy named Martin from Tennessee. We had a lot of Southern boys, believe it or not, for some reason. But I put them on LP, which LP is you move them out 40, 50, 60 yards ahead. And we were set up in a perimeter in that bamboo thicket.
Right.
I moved them out there, and I told them, I felt like they would rather be out there on LP than back where we were, because we're always making them clean weapons or do something. And so Lopez called me on the radio and said, I've got 8 VC out here. And so I asked him, I said, well, what does it look like? He said, well, they're all slung. They got their rifles slung. And so anyway, he called me back and says, well, they all just smiled and waved and headed south.
I want to remind everybody we're talking to Roger Hill here. He's got a book out, Mad Minutes Outside the Wire. You can order it on Amazon, or tomorrow he's going to be at Jasper Public Library from 10 to 12, and he'll be signing books, be telling some stories from the book. He's going to have copies there that you can buy, and just come by and say hey and tell him thank you for what he did and what he's done in our community over the years. And I want to tell you thank you for coming in today. It's not an everyday opportunity that you get to talk to a Vietnam veteran, because a lot of them can't talk about what they went through.
A lot of them have a lot of reasons not to.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I didn't even talk to my wife about it, because I felt like nobody cared.
Right.
When I came home, I made the mistake when I came home of going to the University of Alabama. Like I said, 2 days before registration, I went down on registration day. People asked me where I'd been.
Right.
I told him I'd been to Vietnam. I was like a rabid dog.
Yeah,
Get away
dude.
from this guy.
You turn into the bad guy all of
And
a
it
sudden.
happened all the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I realized right quick that was not something you wanted to talk about because you'd create enemies.
Right.
You know?
You told him you've been in coma for 2 years or something. Came back.
But no, actually, writing this book, it cured that problem, and it will for anybody if they would talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? I
I'm
mean,
so
I
I'm so
encourage
glad
them.
that you did it just for your own health, and then also it's helping other veterans, and it's helping people. I mean, I'm a young person that wasn't even around for Vietnam. It helps me to understand better.
Well, the war, I'll give you an example. I went to Washington, D.C. with some friends. I went over to the cemetery, to Arlington National Cemetery, and, of course, I sat down and wailed up. I went to the tomb of the unknown soldier and all of that.
Right.
And that's pretty hard to do, but I got back down to the Vietnam Memorial where the three men are standing on the west end. I couldn't go down in that hole.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is it's sort of like, in my eyes, it's like they're hiding the wall.
Right.
It's underground, and so that's sort of that's sort of Vietnam in a nutshell,
Right.
It was a war that we shouldn't have been in, and they were hooked and crooked to get in the war,
Right.
and it was hard to get out with face, and so they just bailed out, much like Biden did in Afghanistan in 21.
Right.
He bailed out and left $81 billion worth of stuff for the Taliban,
Yeah.
and it was very similar to Vietnam.
Yeah.
So our country's got to stop that.
Yeah.
You know?
We can't keep giving supplies to people that are going to end up using them on us. Yeah.
But actually, if you're out there listening, I invite you to read the book, even if you have to go to the library and rent the book.
Right. Right.
I think if you're interested in anything in that era, and if you were in the 70-year-old range, you'll understand because you were part of that
Right.
at that era.
Yeah.
You were 18 years old at that time.
Read the book. Best way to get it is go to the Jasper Public Library tomorrow and shake Roger's hand and get him to sign it for you too.
I'd be tickled to.
And one of your buddies has came in here. Woody Wilson stepped in. He's coming up next. Woody, go ahead.
James, okay. Roger, can't let you get out of here but without talking about playing football. Coach Dijo Gambrell, Walker County High School. You and Jimmy both. How about Jimmy? Jimmy?
He passed away.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I
Several
didn't know.
years ago with a stroke.
Yes.
But Jimmy was offered several opportunities to play college football,
Yes, sir.
D1, and he got married. He married Angie Hill, my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
But I know you were instrumental in Trent playing football too and announcing all those. You remember those games?
Yes, sir.
You know,
Fine quarterback.
Trent, my youngest son, was a really good quarterback.
Yes,
he had D1 offers too, believe it or not, in football.
And he could throw a baseball too, and ended up at Mississippi State.
He ended up playing at Mississippi State. He played at Walker High School up here with
Yes, sir.
Goot Rutledge and all those guys,
Yes, sir.
and Buck Norris and all those guys played college. By the way, they all went on and played college. But Trent went on and played at Mississippi State and he graduated at Samford. But he had a great career in college, and also in football. But y'all were instrumental in calling the games.
Well, I appreciate that, but me growing up, you were one of the cool cats in town. I mean, you and Jimmy and you remember my brother Daryl. He was a little younger than y'all, but what days those were? Coach Dijo Gambrell and the old Tennessee Valley Conference. That's what I like, man.
Oh, I got so many tales about that.
We could spend another 2 hours.
Coach
man.
Gamble didn't believe in those days. They didn't believe in drinking water at practice. And
what? How did y'all not die?
Oh, I saw guys slip off over to the stream over there at the creek that ran down beside and wet a towel and squeeze it out, you know.
Sure.
If they did that today, they'd be put in prison.
Oh, and nobody on our team weighed over 175 pounds, you know, because he'd run all the meat off of us.
Yeah, yeah.
Now today they hydrate before, during, and after.
Oh, yeah. He didn't believe in weightlifting or nothing like that either. We were all lean. I can remember when I started at offensive center for Coach Gamble when I was in the 10th grade. But I had actually started school in the 5th grade, so I should have been in the 9th grade. And I started I started for him as a center.
Wow.
And we were playing Butler High School, I believe, it was Dessler High School. When I came up to the line, this old boy said, freshman meat. I mean, I didn't weigh 150 pounds.
That's what I'm talking about. I love it.
So you weren't intimidating anybody at that point.
No, when I was a senior, it was different though. I liked to hit people, and I enjoyed it. And baseball too. Actually, baseball was my sport.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to play beyond high school and all that. But anyway, my son Chad, most of y'all know Chad. He's got the Mosquito Authority.
Right.
He and Brandy. Brandy used to be Long, Bud and Susan Long's daughter. Mm-hmm. And then my son Brandon Hill.
And you talked about Brandon helping with the book.
He is 90% of putting this thing together.
Wow.
Right.
All I did was send him a Word doc, PDF, and then he took it and they did the layouts. I sent all the pictures, but they did the layouts in this thing and did such a good job.
It's such a pretty book. It really is. I mean, there's some very unpretty things in there, but the pictures and like I said, the maps earlier, it's just so interesting to look at.
Well, I think some of these chapters are short, and they'll get your opinion. I mean, you'll get your attention.
Yeah.
But I have 5 reviews from local people. Colonel Jerry Byers, y'all might know Jerry.
Mentioned, yeah.
And then I've got James E. Fry, who was a command sergeant major, also in Vietnam, lives on the Forester Road up here.
Okay.
But I tried to get, and then Jim Kitson, most people know Jim. He was a Marine, and he wrote a book called Jimmy the Marine. And Jim was severely shot up over there, and he had some severe problems when he got home with this war.
Yeah.
But, then I dedicated the book actually to all the men that died. I had 19 men that died when I was there, and I dedicated it to those people. And the acknowledgments are all, I acknowledge Skip and my son Brandon and all of the guys that contributed to the stories in the book.
Right, yeah.
And then we start, and we got 371 pages, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the very end of the book, I've got how to become a foxhole Christian.
Yeah.
And it was my testimony.
Yeah.
And then after that's the epilogue, and it tells about how we were treated when we got home, which was
a shame.
Yeah, most people didn't understand,
Yeah.
because it was not affecting them.
Yeah.
But,
Y'all were made to go over there.
Right, that's the thing.
Good grief, come on.
Yeah.
No, we were.
Or they'd put you in jail.
Yeah.
We were conscripted. I got a letter. I got a letter in 1967 from Lyndon Baines Johnson. It says, "The United States needs you, boy," or something to that effect. And so, Bill Trotter and Eloise Trotter. Bill was y'all may remember Bill Trotter. He was a little league coach and all that when I was coming through. But his wife Eloise was over the draft board.
Huh,
now, my daddy wasn't powerful enough or didn't have enough
Mr. Buck.
Mr. Buck to keep me out of the war. And I really don't think he worried too much about it. I mean, the day I left, let me tell you this story. I'd never seen my mother cry. And the day I left, I told my mother bye, and I hugged her neck. And she said, "Be merciful if you can." And I shook my daddy's hand, and he said, "Just keep your head down," something like that. We were in Birmingham Airport. Well, I got on the airplane. I walked down and sat down, and I looked out. And in those days, you could get out on a platform out there.
Right.
And I saw my mother crying, and it just killed me.
Yeah.
It killed me because I had tried to be tough about it,
Right.
but it just just a gut wrenching time.
Yeah.
Well, and you were a kid, is the thing.
I was 21 years old then.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I think it's I'm proud of it. Put it that way.
Yeah, you should be. It's a great book.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hadn't had a chance to read it, but just glancing through it and looking at it, it's a beautiful book. And people go to Jasper Public Library tomorrow, 10 to 12, and Roger will be there. He'll be telling some stories. He'll be shaking some hands and signing some books.
Well, it's just called Mad Minutes Outside the Wire. Let me explain how I came up with this, with
The title.
title. Excuse me. A mad minute to Army infantry in Vietnam in those days. Sometimes we would come back into our secure base, and we called it inside the wire. And so they would say, "Hey, we need a mad minute." So we would go down to the wire and plant ammo cases, ammo boxes outside, or targets, and we would expend all of our old ammunition we've been toting in the mud for months, in the rain and
Right.
monsoons, and so we would go back, clean all of our magazines, clean our weapon, and reload all. And I was toting 35 loaded magazines and 5 hand grenades and 2 quarts of water. So anyway, I called it Mad Minutes Outside the Wire, because all of my Mad Minutes were in Indian country. It was, we would have a Mad Minute. We called it recon by fire, but it was a Mad Minute.
Right.
What we called them.
Man.
So that's how I got the name for it.
Yeah,
So.
I was wondering where the name came from. Well, Roger, thank you for coming in today. Like I said, thank you for what you did in Vietnam.
God bless you for your
you,
service,
Woody.
sir.
Thank you for what you've done in our community.
Amen.
Because once you came back, you were one of our businessmen that has always cared about Jasper and Walker County, and we sure do appreciate it.
Hey, thank y'all for inviting me up. I appreciate it.
And I used to love to go in Mr. Buck's wholesale place. I'm a West Jasper guy, and
Hey.
that was in West Jasper, and I just about lived in that place, Roger.
He lived that business, I'll tell you that. And
he was
loved
a
it.
great guy.
Actually, that was where I got started, working for Daddy when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And when I got out of college, or got out, I went to work for Daddy for a while, and he was a toughie when it came to to business. But he was always successful.
Oh.
Always. I mean, Daddy'd made money all of his life. I mean, he had a service station when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
Well,
I love
anyway,
that place.
James, thank y'all for inviting me, and I'd love to come back another time.
We'll
and
definitely have you back.
Promote Mad Minutes Outside the Wire.
We can talk books. We can talk politics next time. We can talk all kinds of
Sports.
stuff. Yeah, sports too.
Well, there's a lot of politics in here.
Yeah. We'll everybody check out the book. Oh, I appreciate everybody listening this entire week and today especially. Over the weekend, be kind and love, and then we'll see you on Monday on WJLX on Live at 9 with James Phillips.